Grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys presents Tales of the Trophies, the SEC's greatest rivalries. I'm I'm Mike. With me is EJ. I'm not even drinking. I just, screwed that one up. Uh, what's up, pal? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm just drinking Bailey's out of a shoe over here, so
Very appropriate for today's episode.
it sure is, Mike. It sure is.
It- this is Bailey's as close as you can get without your eyes getting wet.
Yes, it is. And so for the people listening, you should know you've clicked onto this episode. We're talking about the Golden Boot,
We are.
and I thought old Greg drank Bailey's out of a boot. I was hoping it was, but a shoe, a boot, it's similar. Also, just made this crazy realization, or had a realization, I guess, and didn't make one, of the actor comedian that does old Greg. And I was listening to the little skit
It
before.
plays old Greg, not does old Greg.
I mean, he
That's
does it
probably
too, right? He plays them, he does them.
yeah.
He
His
does it.
wife does him. Yeah, yeah.
Um, and to clarify the boot shoe, um, part of the sketch, and he just sounded really familiar the way he was talking, and then I realized that he is the one of the co-hosts of the Great British Bake Off on Netflix right now.
Noah Fielding.
Noel.
Noel Fielding. Wow, he's
Yeah, he looks really big, not big, like he's really tall. And so like I don't the other actor in that skit must be tall too, because he doesn't look tall in that skit, but he looks pretty tall. Or maybe the people on the Bake Off show are short, but and he wears heels. That's the thing. Like yeah, he's very gothic.
he
In
looks
British
like
Bake Off.
if like Marilyn Manson and Elton John had a son.
Sure.
Like that's perfect because he's English, and then he's
Yeah.
like has very like Marilyn Manson-esque like gangly features, and but he like he dresses well, he's gothic, but then like his from the neck up he looks just like from the neck up actually he looks a lot like help me out here, Nine Inch Nails lead singer.
I don't know.
Come on.
Not, I'm not a 9 Inch Nails guy, dude.
Oh, you're not a Nine Inch Nails guy? Everyone
No.
loves Nine Inch Nails.
Do they?
Yeah,
I'm like
I would say the majority. Well,
I like
majority of
90s
our
grunge, but like 9 Inch Nails have never been my thing.
Trent Reznor. I would say the majority of our contemporaries enjoyed Nine Inch Nails. He looks in the face, and he has the long hair that Reznor had. So he looks in the face like Reznor with the body of Marilyn Manson, but dresses like Elton John.
Yes. With a smoking hot girlfriend of a while too. I think it's like 12 years now. Who's an actress.
He's with a couple women in these pictures. Liana Bird.
Yeah, I think that's the one that's I think, at least according to the Wikipedia, is his
cute.
partner.
She's cute. All right. Anyways, enough about old Greg.
Yeah, so I am actually drinking Bailey's that I added Irish whiskey to, so it counts. And
yeah, there you go.
We're talking about the Golden Boot today, guys. Well, the LSU, I almost said Los Angeles Tigers. Yeah, we're just all over the place right now.
We are
the LSU Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks for the Golden Boot. So I'm drinking Bailey's from a glass. So really, all I did was I poured my glass halfway full of Bailey's, and then realized that I have Irish whiskey and decided to pour. I don't even know.
Yeah,
shot,
that was
maybe some more.
That was a decision that you made. You're like, you know what, this Bailey's just isn't really doing it for me. Before we started the pod, you're like, well, and you know what, that's a lesson learned. That's something that any of the listeners can take into their lives. Is if something's just not doing it for you, whatever it may be, add a little whiskey.
Yes, and what do I get? I mean, Bailey's tastes fantastic, but now I got Bailey's with a little extra punch, and it tastes even more fantastic.
Boom.
Boom.
There you go.
All right, pick 'em with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as it was before.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are struggling.
A lot of 1-2, a lot of 1-2s, couple offers. But there is
How many weeks are we through right now?
10, week 10.
10. Guys, I'm not just saying this because clearly I'm horrific. So I'm really not trying to like bring anyone else down, but just to give you an idea of this college football season and how it's been so hard to pick, is the best that we've got on our challenge is Nathan at 13 and a half,
Mm-hmm.
and you at 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Nathan's percentage is going to be a bit higher because he didn't start
Yeah.
at the beginning, but like
Yeah.
you are doing fantastic in comparison to us, and you are still batting 420-ish.
Yeah. I'm 13 and 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, I mean, I started off hot, I looked great coming out of the gates, but then can't well actually the past two well no, last week was 1-2. I was 2-1 before that. Yeah, the first week starting off 3-0, and then just only 2 weeks with a winning record in between. So it's been a tough season, man. I mean, there was a similar to last week. Last week. Whenever I bet a little bit on Tennessee, but I put a lot more on oh gosh, I forget who broke my heart 2 weeks ago. But
You mean when our soul left our body when TCU lobbed that stupid ass Hail Mary that
no.
I'm
Well,
still not
yeah,
over?
but the late game that got me. But then yeah, this week I like watching. It was you told me about the storms in the you originally told me about the storms in the Midwest, and I'm watching game day, and like is just blistering in Illinois for the Northwestern Ohio State game. I'm like, 38 is a lot of points. Like, I don't think Ohio State's covering that. I wish I would have changed my mind. I wish I would have put more money on. My only regret is I didn't put more on Northwestern. I bet the farm on Tennessee to cover Georgia, and they just got, I did not see that one coming. They got stomped. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think that just has answered the question for a lot of people. Is
yeah.
Georgia still Georgia? And I mean, maybe not as Georgia as they were last year, but surely,
A lot of things worked themselves out this past weekend.
yeah,
Clemson got smacked around by Notre Dame, so they're out. I would say the ACC's out.
yeah.
I should have picked Florida State. I felt really good about that game, and boy, they took Miami to the woodshed.
Yeah, they did.
I also I was thinking about picking Auburn because Cadillac Williams, and that didn't look good to start, but then boy, they came back. Yeah, I mean, there was a couple games I was feeling. I just ultimately went with Oregon was a lock because Colorado stinks. And then Cuse, that line looked wonky, but apparently Vegas knew what they were talking about. And then
that's why you always got to wonder.
Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah. There's always some funky numbers, and usually Vegas gets those right. That's usually the first thing I do is I look at the list. I actually haven't looked for this next year. Sometimes there's just I just know that Syracuse, as great of a season as they're having, that's why I was really, really disappointed in Clemson, and I should have known better. It's just like, for instance, Syracuse's D line are tiny. Like, are they disruptive? Sure, and they're having a great season, but like eventually, they just don't have the horses to compete, and it's not their fault, right? And you can only play who's on your schedule. But I really thought that Clemson's offensive line, even if it's not great by its standards or by the rest of college football, like if you're playing defensive tackles under 300 pounds, like
Yeah.
that's going to be a problem eventually,
Yeah.
right? For Syracuse. So, I just think it kind of, sometimes that just finally catches up to a team where they
Yeah.
just don't quite have the athletes, but have a good team
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has put together some wins. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So why don't we go through? So now we have 3 weeks left. It's coming down the stretch here. Technically, Joe is the only one that's eliminated from being able to win everything. Everyone else, or there's three of us that are on very, 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 very thin ice. But why don't we go through where we're at here?
Yeah, so Nathan's at 13 and a half. I'm at 13. Doyle, after an 0 for performance, is at 10. And then there's a three-way tie at 5 with Chris, Jimmy, and you, EJ. And thanks to R. Willie for throwing his hat in the ring this week with a solid 1 win. So he listened to what we said last week. He said, you know what? There's still a chance. It's still up for grabs, but just 1 win's not gonna do it, pal. So
No, we're excited to see what he brings us this week. He might be out of the running to win it all, but we'll see if he brags about his winning percentage and hopefully comes back. And there is another person that is going to join us next year because this seems to be a lot of fun for people. So I think we're going to bring it back. We've had some
oh
ideas on how to improve it. I was talking to Mike about this risk it for the biscuit
yeah.
potential bet that we can add to next year's rules. But yeah, we're excited, and hopefully this continues to grow. Because as bad as I am at this, and I know I know I'm bad at this. I talked about this before. I enjoy it. It's fun. It makes me watch games that I would never watch before. It makes me tune in a little bit more into betting because I don't know, especially during football season, I'm usually pretty locked in when it comes to betting the last couple of years because it's been legal here. But I don't know. Sometimes I go through a lull of like just not checking my, I don't know. It's just sometimes I don't end
Oh
up betting like I should. And then, but this has been exciting. It's actually made me like pay attention to lines and be a lot more knowledgeable on betting because obviously before it became legal and on our phones, like I'm not going to Vegas too
right,
often to to
right.
play some bets. And if I am, it's usually like futures on my favorite teams, right? Like
Yeah. Right, right.
throwing Hail Marys out there.
Yeah, yeah. Right. No, I couldn't disagree more. This has made me hate betting even more. It's a curse, it's a disease. But you know what though? Pretty hot on the touchdown score
Say
parlays on Sundays.
the
So
NFL, we've been great. I was telling you offline, like as far as teasing underdogs for me, the NFL has been the exact opposite for me. Like I feel pretty good about, and again, it's not necessarily picking winners or losers, but like when I've been able to identify, especially home dogs in certain weeks, like I've been pretty good at getting
yeah,
these teams to cover. So
yeah.
yeah, maybe we'll have to throw in a little segment in the future of maybe our NFL stuff, even if we're still talking about college football. If the people want our hot takes for the NFL, because I mean, this weekend alone, I mean, I think I made $110
Yeah, yeah, it
on
was
a couple teasers and our player props that we
yeah.
put in. So
The two touchdown score the past 2 weeks has been quite fruitful for me. So
yeah,
shout out to Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Travis Etienne,
Mr.
and
Austin Eckler.
Austin Eckler. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tonight, by the way, if you want to get in right before it starts, I do like Isaiah Likely, and I think I got money on Drake.
Like
And
the singer.
yeah, I mean, you can't drop that much hentai porn on your Instagram and not expect me to bet you. So,
Well, I mean, I'm just clarifying because apparently the Colts just pick coaches out of nowhere. So,
yeah,
you
that's
can
right.
never discount
Jeff Saturday.
Drake starting, all of a sudden, if Saints are desperate enough,
Yeah,
sick of watching Andy Dalton, we'll see what Drake got.
yeah,
All right, so why don't we get to our rivalry here? So today we're talking about the battle for the Golden Boot, which is played again between the LSU Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. So a little fun fact for this game is this game traditionally was on rivalry weekend at the end of the year. like around Thanksgiving, but the addition of A&M to the SEC screwed that up. So now
Oh,
the LSU plays the Aggies the last game of the year, and Arkansas plays Mizzou for the Battle Line Trophy, which is what we talked
oh,
about earlier in the season. So this
okay, very
game
cool.
will be played this weekend.
Very cool. Speaking of the battle on, a lot of similarities between the boot and the battle on, which I'm sure you'll get into.
There sure is. And, Mike, I would typically ask you what your guesses are to what this trophy looks like, but there's two things. One, I already know you know what this looks like, and
Mm-hmm.
two, it's called the Golden Boot. So there's only so much it can look like. So we're just gonna. I will ask you a different question. If you were in charge of the LSU Arkansas rivalry,
Uh-huh.
would you change this Golden Boot? And if you would change it, is there anything you can think of that you would change it to?
Ooh. Um, no. No, I don't think I would change it. Now, granted, I can still, what might I change it to?
Tough question. I'm asking this him like
Yeah.
truly on the spot.
I don't know,
So
man. It's a good trophy. It's a good concept. Obviously, it's been replicated
yeah,
by the same guy who made this trophy. So he just went
sure.
back to the well.
Yeah,
So it's a winning recipe.
yeah. As I say, it's a
But
good
no,
well.
I mean it's a good trophy, dude. I like it. I don't know. I
Nothing
can't think
like
of anything that.
hog or tiger esque. I know that's kind of like
Yeah,
your first thoughts kind of go to the mascots, and if there's anything that you can draw from those two.
yeah. Nothing really. I mean,
It's fair.
yeah, the only thing I mean, maybe like as an addition to it that could be cool is like if the you
Like
know,
like
it,
hang like a bucket around it or something.
hang a bucket around it. Yeah. No, no, one thing I was thinking it could be cool, I guess, is if the players on both teams, like, or maybe just the winning team, like the previous year's winning team, like if you got to wear like golden cleats for your game the next year, or if like
Mm.
just every year you play, you wear golden cleats, or like
Like a
maybe the
patch or something. That'd be sick.
yeah, or like the MVP gets like,
Yeah.
golden cleats or something like that. That could be like a cool thing that you could do with it, you know?
You know what? I really like that. And I will say, as much as I hate seeing Mr. Paul in the stupid winged helmet and his yellow pants, I appreciate one that both teams put their helmet on Paul, and that's fun.
Hmm.
And then I actually do think it's hilarious that Paul's pants are just naturally green, and
Yeah, so they
Michigan
put the yeah.
Michigan had pants made specifically for Paul,
Hmm.
yellow pants to put on him, and we're talking about Paul Bunyan, not a natural person named Paul. Um,
What if there
just
was?
just to
What if there
just
was
to
just a guy
clarify,
named Paul and they just
he just gets dressed up for the game. He gets dressed by the winning team.
No,
But
I think that could be a cool thing, like the
yeah,
gold
I
if you
like that
golden
idea.
cleats.
Yeah, little swag, not swag. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess so
yeah,
swag, but a little what's the flair? That's what I'm looking for.
yeah, yeah,
Like
flair,
buttons
there
of
you go.
flair.
Yeah.
Okay, so typically what we've done, and unfortunately, guys, this is the third to
Third
last
to last.
episode
Hmm.
of our season. Like this football season's almost over. Sad, and this season of Tales of the Trophies is very nearly almost over. So this is typically a spot where we do either or because it's not an in-state rivalry, but we've already kind of talked about Arkansas and LSU for different Arkansas and Louisiana for different uh, trophies. So I thought we could do something different here.
Okay.
I want to test your SEC football knowledge.
Oh, okay.
So this is going to be a little SEC football trivia,
All right.
and I want to see how well you do. And I think the better you do, the more of a loser you are. Does that make sense? Because
Okay.
you probably shouldn't have all of this knowledge in your head. And I was trying to think if I know all of this for the Big Ten. I'm not sure I do.
Okay.
So are you ready? What we're going to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
is we are going to, I'm going to ask you first with the SEC West and then the SEC East. And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give you a school and I want to know who the coach is, where they play, so the city that the college is in, and then the name of the stadium
Okay.
for all the teams in the SEC. And I want to see if you're able to give me all three answers for all 14 schools in the SEC.
Okay.
Think you can do it?
Well, let's give it a shot.
All right.
I know that.
Arkansas.
All right. Arkansas.
Who's
Their
the
head
coach?
coach is Sam Pittman,
Sure is.
and they play in.
What city? I'm actually going
Uh,
to this. Oh man, we're already off to a poor start here.
uh,
Oh no.
pass on the name of the city.
All right. And what's the name of their stadium?
I don't know. I'm gonna say like Razorback Stadium. That's just
It is not. So they play in. Do you want me to give you the answer here?
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
pass,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So they play in Fayetteville,
Fayetteville.
Arkansas,
I knew that. Yeah.
and their stadium is Donald W. Reynolds Stadium.
Okay. All right.
Old Miss Rebels. All right. So I'll just give you. I was
Rebels.
also going to ask you the names, but you'll know all the names.
Oh, I know all the mascots. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So Lane
Coach.
Kiffin's obviously the coach. They play in
Sure
Oxford,
is.
Mississippi, and should know the name of this stadium.
Oh man, I really thought you'd have something.
Yeah, I don't know this one. I don't know this one either.
Vaught Hemingway Stadium.
Vaught Hemingway. Okay. I didn't have that in my head. So
Okay, Mississippi State.
Mike Leach, the pirate himself.
Yes.
They play in Stark Vegas.
They sure do.
Gosh, I don't know this stadium either. I'm not good with stadium names.
Wow, man, I really thought you'd have this one. Davis Wade Stadium.
David Swade. Okay.
Davis Wade, not
Davis Wade. Okay. Davis Wade. All right.
Davis
Wade Stadium. Okay. All right.
All right. Texas A&M.
College Station, Jimbo Fisher.
Yes.
You know Kyle Field.
One. Yes, there we go. The team you hate.
Yeah.
You got all those ones. Alabama Crimson Tide.
That would be Nick Saban. That would be Tuscaloosa. That would be Bryant Denny.
And do you know who Bryant and Denny are?
Yeah. Well, Bear Bryant is Bryant, right?
Sure.
Denny though. Was that the?
I think I know the answer, but I'm gonna double check myself.
I want to say it was a quarterback, but that doesn't sound right. Athletic director.
No, and I was thinking the right thing. Definitely Paul Bear Bryant and George H. Denny, which was the school's president.
Okay,
gotcha. A couple of these are named after presidents. That's usually like a good guess. If you're not sure, you can put it on a coach, famous coach, president. I don't know what made Denny be like so special. It probably was just the president at the time. How vain. Okay, Auburn Tigers.
They play in Jordan Hare Stadium. Their coach now is Cadillac Williams.
Okay. Who was their coach? I put no one on here because I didn't know who their was.
Harrison was the coach. But then
where do they play?
Well, I said Jordan Hare. Oh, where do they play? Is it just Auburn? Yeah.
It is a city called Auburn, Alabama. All right, last one in the West, the Louisiana State Tigers.
So it's Tiger Stadium.
Sure is. Which nickname is?
Death Valley. They play in Baton Rouge.
Sure do.
And their coach killed the kid.
Hey, everyone's family, okay?
Nope.
All right, on to the SEC.
Brian Kelly killed a kid. Brian Kelly killed a kid. Look it up. Google it. He killed a kid. People
Georgia
forget.
Bulldogs.
Don't forget. They play in Athens. Gosh, what is the name of the stadium? I was just looking at it. Oh man, I was looking at it all day on Saturday
Why?
because I was watching the game. They're zooming in
I
and
thought,
out.
I thought you meant you were like Googling it, like doing some like Google Math stuff or map stuff.
It's two names.
It's not.
It's not?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I must have just been really drunk then. I don't know. I don't. Kirby's the coach, but
Sanford.
Sanford. Yes. Oh, gosh, yes, that's right. Because I was thinking of Sanford, Alabama, where Duck went. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So
Florida Gators.
all right. So they play in Gainesville.
They do.
Their head coach is Billy Napier, and
There is.
gosh, what is the and the nickname is the Swamp.
It is.
Um,
What is the actual name?
gosh,
Wow,
come on.
I'm actually surprised here. I thought you just have this useless knowledge, and I was going
I'm
to make
not
fun
good
of you
at
for
stadium
having
names.
this
I'm not good at
useless knowledge.
stadium names.
It is the. Do you want to know?
Yeah,
Ben Hill Griffin Stadium.
would never have gotten that. Wasn't even on the right track. Wasn't even close.
All right, Kentucky Wildcats.
Lexington.
Yes.
Stoops.
Yes.
No, I'm gonna say
This is I will say this. This is a corporate named.
Oh, I was gonna say I know they play in Rupp Arena for basketball.
Which was Adolph Rupp,
Yeah.
famous basketball coach,
Yes.
who feuded with the great Paul Bear Bryant. Remember, guys, back in our episodes talking about
nice little callback.
Yeah, look at Bryant left Kentucky because he felt that it was a basketball school and they were not giving him the proper resources. So he went somewhere that would give him resources and became one of the most famous coaches of all time. Way to go, Lexington.
Suckers. I don't know, Jif Stadium because of the peanut butter.
I was really surprised. Another callback that you knew that, by the way.
Yeah, that one that's the useless knowledge I got.
Kroger Field. Kroger is a grocery store.
Okay, great. Love Kroger.
The Missouri Tigers.
I think, do they play in Tiger Stadium too? Is it called Tiger Stadium for them?
It is not.
I might go over on this because I don't even know their head coach.
I don't know this name. He did get extended though.
So
he wasn't.
I'll go over on this one. I'll just
Elia Drinkwitz.
Okay.
So don't forget that name. You won't forget it now. Yeah. They play. You don't know the city. This is okay. So hold on. We haven't gotten to the other city. So there are two. I was going to have this as like a fun fact to begin with or a question, but I didn't want to ruin it at this point. But there are two cities. Two of the SEC schools play in the same named city. And then two of the SEC schools have the same mascot. So the mascot would be the Bulldogs.
Tigers. Wait, what? Oh, the Bulldog?
And the
Tigers too.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Yeah.
But now Missouri plays in the same city as another school in the SEC as well. Like it's the same name. Which I didn't realize until I put this together. I won't give you that answer because I don't want to ruin the other school that we haven't gotten to yet. Well, can you any guess at the name of the stadium?
No guess at the name of the stadium.
Fairrot Field at Memorial Stadium.
Okay. We can skip over the name of the city. Maybe I'll get it since we haven't. You already tipped your hand. We haven't gotten there yet. So
we haven't gotten there yet, but we'll see. Tennessee Volunteers.
Knoxville.
Yes.
Fuck. Heupel.
Yes.
And then
It's
gosh,
the
what
name of their very
the
large stadium.
the waste management stadium. Waste
No,
management stadium. That's my answer. Waste management stadium.
we were looking for Neyland Stadium.
Yeah, waste management. That's what I said.
All right, Vandy.
Wow.
Those
I
Commodores. Anchor
don't.
up.
Yeah,
Anchor
don't.
down. Anchor
You know
down.
what's funny is I watched the SEC commercial and they featured like Vandy pretty prominently. I'm like, that's gosh, no idea who the head coach is.
I didn't either. Clark Leah.
Clark Leah. Okay. They play in. Are they in Nashville?
They sure are.
Yeah. Okay. And then
One of the only reasons they get people to go there, right? It's either you're a nerd or you love Nashville. Well, actually, you have to be a nerd to go there.
Yeah. Commodore Stadium. I don't know.
First Bank Stadium.
First Bank. Okay. Okay.
And last, but not certainly least, South Carolina Cock Commanders.
So they both play in Columbia.
There
Missouri's
it
in
is.
Columbia too. Yeah.
There it is. Who's their coach? Which I had no idea about this. This is actually pretty cool. He is a son of a famous football coach.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I had to like double check. I was like, really? Is that really his son? Sure was.
I feel like I should know this. I don't know. I don't know the name of the stadium either. So give me the stadium name and then give me the coach's name.
Williams-Brice Stadium.
Okay.
And the son is named Shane, and his dad coached at a place that has one of the best college football entrances in the game. Enter Sandman.
So wait, Shane. So
where's Enter Sandman? Who has that famous like before the kickoff moment with Enter Sandman?
Who does have Enter Sandman?
Oh man. A little
Penn
place.
State have Enter Sandman?
No, a little place called Virginia Tech.
Oh, it's what's his face? Gosh. Beamer.
Yeah.
Shane Beamer?
Yeah. I had no idea he even had a coach like a son, let alone one that was coaching in the SEC. Yeah,
Wow.
good old Frank's son. Cool. I know. Okay, so you did pretty terrible, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I'm not no nerd.
I know.
I mean,
surprised.
It was just the stadiums. That was like the coach is like, you know, if it's like obviously I'm not gonna know like Vanderbilt, Missouri, and
yeah, it made me start to think if I knew the Big Ten's like ones enough, and I don't know. I mean, obviously I know the big ones like most people do. I don't know that I know like the smaller school, not the smaller schools, the shitty schools. I feel like I could probably get through a decent amount of them, but probably not.
See, with like some of them, like I knew that Georgia's like Dooley Field because they talked a lot about that, but it's like Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. So
right, yeah. Yeah, and I feel like some of this stuff, especially when it's a corporate sponsor and it's not your team, like that changes, right? Like it's different when it's just like named after a legendary person having to do with the school, but a little different. But okay, so why don't we get to the history of the rivalry here? So the first matchup between these two schools was in 1901, and LSU won that game 15-0. Overall, the series is led by LSU, who has 42 wins to 23 losses and 2 ties. So the series, as that kind of tells that story, has been largely dominated by LSU, who's won in chunks. So the longest winning streak is held is 7, which is held by LSU, but it was broken by a tie. So if you go that streak between Arkansas wins, that actually goes to 11. And there were a couple times where an LSU winning streak was broken by a tie and not a loss. So yeah, largely been dominated by the Tigers. So let me give you a little bit of pre-Golden Boot history here. So Arkansas and LSU, like I'd mentioned, started playing in 1901. And that win was in Baton Rouge. And between 1906 and 1936, with the exception of 1918, which was World War One, and 1953 and 1956, the two teams have played regularly on a yearly basis. So there's just a couple of times in those early days that they didn't play on an annual basis. In addition, the two teams have played each other at the end of the regular season in the Cotton Bowl Classic twice, once in 1947 and once in 1966, which is pretty cool. And the two teams also played each other regularly in the Red River State Fair Classic.
Oh, really? They had a Red
Yes.
River
Yes.
rivalry as well.
Yes, until Arkansas canceled its future appearances after dropping those 7 straight contests to LSU.
Okay.
So a little knowledge about this fair. So the fair began in 1906, and attempts were made immediately to schedule a football game as a draw to get people to come to this fair. And then specifically, it was supposed to be between LSU and the Shreveport Athletic Club. Because why wouldn't you just play a bunch of amateurs when
Yeah.
you're, in college? Need to pad those stats.
Yeah.
Although the plans for that game fell through, the fair did begin hosting college football games regularly starting in 1911.
Okay.
So the nearby schools of Louisiana Tech and Northwestern State played in that first game in 1911. And the annual Arkansas LSU game was made its main draw 2 years later, so in 1913.
Okay.
Much like the Red River Showdown game that had begun headlining the State Fair of Texas in Dallas in 1912. So it was actually a pretty similar time, which is interesting. So by 1914, $900 of the fair's $35,000 was budgeted specifically for the football game.
Damn.
Decent chunk. And I couldn't find a picture of this. I really wish I could have, but the 1924 game featured a silver football trophy as part of the dedication ceremonies
Oh, I like
for
that.
this new stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah. But after LSU won for the 7th straight time in 1936, the series was discontinued because Arkansas took their ball and went home. Didn't want to play anymore. So Louisiana Tech and Northwestern State returned to play in that featured game. And when Louisiana Tech began efforts in the late 1980s to move into Division 1A, Northwestern State began to play Louisiana Monroe in that game. And they still play that to this day, which is pretty interesting.
Nice.
So in 1992, LSU and Arkansas resumed their annual rivalry when Arkansas joined the Southeastern Conference, or the SEC, after leaving the Southwest Conference. And the teams played each other 4 times in the conference before the introduction of the Golden Boot in 1996. So that's how old this trophy is. It's actually older than I thought. So why don't you scroll down, take another look at this butte, and why don't you?
Well, I would love to, but I'm having some internet connectivity issues. I don't know how our Zoom is still alive because everything else on my laptop is crashing. So like I'm trying to refresh everything, it's just not working. So I'm gonna see if I can log in to my phone. Hold on a second. Let's see. Google Drive.
Das Boot.
I need to get access to Google Drive on my phone. Son of a bitch. Oh, wait. There we go. There we go. Hold on. There we go. Okay. All right. So I can give a description here of the boot for the listeners at home. It is a large base. Like it's a nice thick base. You know, it's a girthy base. Like we're talking like I don't know, a couple inches, like I would say about like 6 inches or so thick base. It's deep too. I mean, it's probably like foot and a half. Like if in these pictures here, there are 3 people carrying it, and
Yeah.
two people on either end, and they have their arms just like down at hip width. So like, let's say that's probably like, a foot and a half, 2 feet, something like that.
Sure.
And then one person's holding it in the back as well. And then on top of that, there is a large gold base that says the boot. And then the actual boot itself is Arkansas on top of Louisiana, which naturally makes the shape of a boot. It's a thin gold. So like the metal itself is thin. And it's what is really cool is they have all of the like the rivers and lakes and waterways are all engraved into the boot.
It's a veiny trophy.
Yeah, it dainty.
Veiny.
Oh, veiny. Yes, it is veiny. And that boot that's thin. That's pretty thin there. So it probably is a little veiny, or a little dainty too. But yeah, it's a really nice. It's a classic trophy. It's on TV all the time whenever it's presented. It's a hefty boy. How heavy is this thing, EJ?
It weighs. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Actually, I can give. Well, I'll give you that, and then I'll give you what else I know. Nearly 200 pounds.
Wow. Okay. That felt right.
Yes. So it's molded in 24 karat gold in the shape of the states of Arkansas and Louisiana. And the trophy
Okay.
stands 4 feet in height.
Wow.
And it was valued in 20. How much do you think this was valued at in 2013? So that's the like the I don't know, the most recent valuation I could find.
How much of this is gold?
I would say all of it that's not that wooden base. I would say at least the boot part of it, maybe not that gold looking base, but at least the boot.
Let's say $500,000 in 2013.
Not even close.
Up or down?
Do you think if that was worth $500,000 that they would let college kids be prancing around with it on the field?
Sure,
get stolen.
$20,000.
10,000.
Okay, there we go.
$500,000.
Oh, I mean, listen.
Actually, that makes me think of a different trophy that involves Catholic University in Indiana and going to be a future Big Ten.
The jeweled shillelagh.
I wonder how much that one's valued at.
Yeah,
that one's probably
but
legit.
like this, I mean, but like you got to think about like that. Is that just the valuation based on like what it's made of, like the gold in it? Because I would say that the golden boot on a black market is $500,000.
Sure, yes,
that's where I'm coming at from.
I also love that you were so aware of this trophy, but had never heard of like the chef in America. Because this is like an integral part of like the bottom half of
Never heard of the chef. Well, but I didn't grow up in the chef's hat.
No, but you ever thought that was his potentially just feet? You never thought about the top half of him?
No, never. Never.
That poor chef.
Never.
Okay, yeah. So this was so the next pictures that I have here. So it's the Arkansas governor at the time, Mike Huckabee, and the lieutenant governor of Louisiana, because apparently the regular governor was too good to make this meeting, Kathleen Blanco. So this was them shaking hands at the unveiling of the trophy on November 27th of 1996.
Okay.
So the boot's origins can be traced to the creation the same year of the Broyles Award, which was presented to the best assistant coach in college football. So Frank Broyles, excuse me, was a longtime Razorbacks coach and athletic director. He was impressed with the trophy and told the creator of it, which now that I think about it, I probably should have tried to include the Broyles trophy here, but I did not. I know. So he was impressed with it and told the creator, who was a former Arkansas linebacker, Dave Basil, to let him know if he has any ideas that would promote the Razorbacks football program. So here's a quote from Basil. So he says, "When I played in the Southwest Conference, we didn't have any trophy games. You didn't see them a lot in the SEC either." And he played at Arkansas between from 1981 to 1985. So he goes on to say, "You just saw them in the Big Ten, but I always thought it would be pretty cool to play for a trophy." I started to do a little research and saw where Arkansas and LSU started playing in 1901, and that there were some similarities in the programs. And so he goes on to talk about these similarities. So he says the former Arkansas coach Hugo Bezdek's speech that caused Arkansas to change the mascot from a cardinal to a Razorback came after an LSU win in 1909 in Memphis. He goes on to say they had the Ice Bowl in 1947 when Y.A. Tittle was at LSU. That ended in a 0-0 tie.
Mm-hmm.
And then also LSU broke Arkansas's 22-game winning streak in 1966 in the Cotton Bowl. And apparently even Mike the Tiger, the LSU mascot, was bought when all the students pitched in 25 cents and bought him from the Little Rock Zoo.
Wow, look at that. People
So
put
all
it together.
this connectivity between the two schools.
Yeah.
So when he was trying to think of, so this is back to Basil, when he was trying to think of what trophy Arkansas, like what it would make sense, which school to have a trophy game against, his mind gravitated toward LSU and Arkansas. So the two biggest draws for Basil were that the game was played on the last weekend of the regular season at the time. And both teams had struggled to kind of regain their glory at that point in time. So at that point, LSU had won a national championship in 1957 and Arkansas in 1964. But since those two, the schools had really struggled to consistently put good teams in the conference after after Arkansas joined. So he goes on to say, in my mind, I thought if both programs ever came back, because the fan bases are so passionate, it would be an interesting trophy game. So once Basil identified the opponent for the trophy, he set out to identify what he was going to make. But the boot almost didn't come to fruition. So his researching ideas for the trophy nearly settled on the Bowie knife. So he goes on to say, it would have been fun because there was a Louisiana Arkansas tie-in with that knife. He says it's sort of hazy now, but there was a Bowie knife that was created by an Arkansan. And apparently there was some crossover between the states, and there might have been even a murder, he says.
Ooh.
So he's like, as I thought about it, I debated that.
You have my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
So, but in true trophy, and Michael appreciate this fashion, he debated between doing this knife or something that was big. So he thought the easiest, cleanest way was for it to be symbolic, and it's easy to recognize. He says our two states. I wanted it to be big and gaudy. I wanted it to be something that took more than one person to carry.
Hell yeah, my kind of guy.
So Arkansas and LSU gave Basil $5,000 each to create the trophy. He took this concept to a jewelry shop in Little Rock Heights District, and the work was outsourced to a company in Boston. So he said, a lot of trophy games, the trophy is something of value. We didn't have anything of value, so we created something valuable.
I love it.
So
this guy is a man after my own heart. Like he knows he wants something big. Oh man, I love it. I love it. His thought process is like me and this guy are on the same wavelength for sure.
And it was probably a good thing he didn't pick a knife, because someone would have been stabbed for sure. Even if it was a silly trophy, like certainly. That would have that would have definitely happened.
Oh, without a doubt. The fact that no one's been cut in half with Paul Bunyan's axe is just incredible. I don't care if it's made of wood. You have like superhuman freaks wielding that thing. Like someone's gonna get chopped in half.
With a tradition of cutting down goalposts.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, and this is just a little tidbit here. Many would argue that it is much more significant to Arkansas, which has upset highly ranked LSU schools several times during the years. And the boot is displayed prominently outside the entrance to the Razorbacks locker room whenever they have it.
Okay, very nice. That makes sense.
Yeah, so the rest here. So LSU leads the trophy series 17-8, and beginning in 1996, the winning team does win this trophy. And this actually, I do have a different number. So they said 175 pounds. So yeah, you're looking at 175, 200 pounds.
Still beefy. Yeah,
it's huge. So yeah, until so again, just reiterating that between 1996 when it was created and 2008 before A&M joined the SEC. This was at the end of the year during
Mhm,
Thanksgiving Day weekend and rivalry week, but
mhm.
it has now been moved in lieu of, I guess, a rivalry between A&M and LSU.
Yeah, it's a
Maybe,
shame. I mean, it's gonna change again,
yeah,
when Texas and Oklahoma come in. So
and maybe they'll bring it back.
yeah, it'd be nice.
And this game was initially played on alternating years in Little Rock at War Memorial Stadium, which is a second home stadium for the Razorbacks, and then in Baton Rouge in Louisiana at Tiger Stadium. But starting in 2012, the games were played on campus in Fayetteville, in Arkansas.
Okay.
So yeah, so I think the stadium in Little Rock was a little bigger. I think was what
Hmm.
originally like bigger than what they had on campus, and then
Hmm.
eventually when that kind of caught up to them, they decided to bring it on campus because yeah, that makes most sense. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
always fun when
Yeah.
you get to go to your rival's campus.
Right. Right.
So that's gonna do it for us. That's all I got for us here.
Nice. Well, it's a
So
trophy that really, people know. I
yes,
didn't realize all the rich history behind it though. Like
yeah, I know.
that's pretty dope. So yeah, I dig it.
So let's get to our rankings here. So on a scale, we're gonna rank on a
Uh,
scale from 1 to 5 for looks.
You're gonna have to update this for me, pal. My computer is still. I hope this episode downloads, baby. I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, we're in trouble. So
Okay, great. Then I will capture this here and then get it down in our docket a
uh,
little later. So yes, a scale. We rank on a scale from 1 to 5 for the looks of the trophy, the history of the trophy, the history of the rivalry, and the overall competitiveness of the rivalry, and then whether it's a bottom, middle, or top tier. So what do we got?
all right, so I'm gonna say on the looks of the trophy, it's a 5. I love this trophy. I've liked it for a long time. It's definitely one of the more recognizable ones, not just in the SEC, but in college football in general. So it's a 5 for me. It's big, it's beefy, it's unique. Up until the creator of this trophy created the battle line, there wasn't really anything like it. So definitely dig on it. It's a 5. History of the trophy, I think that's probably doesn't have like when you think back to like the last season, like a lot of like the allure around like thievery and stuff like that. It doesn't have that, but it's still top tier for me. So that's I'm gonna say it's like a 4. Yeah, there's a lot of like thought that went into it, like how he wanted to create it. So it's a 4 for me. Maybe 4.5, but I think 4 is good. The what is it? The
The
rivalry,
rivalry.
the
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I do like the history of like the fair and stuff like that. Like clearly they've been playing together for a long time. So I don't want to knock, but it's kind of one-sided. Like I think this means more to Arkansas than it does to LSU. Like LSU has other rivals that they look at as bigger rivals. So I'm gonna say it's like a 2.5, you know. And then the competitiveness, it's like a 1.5, it's really not that close. So
Okay. And then what tier?
um man, it's a shame because I really like the trophy. It's just I'm gonna say it's just mid tier, like almost to the top. Like I really want to put it in the top, but just like the rivalry itself is just not like the competitiveness isn't there.
Yeah,
So
that's happened to us a couple of times where we've had some pretty beautiful trophies, but maybe some lackluster history behind them, or it's just like the rivalry itself isn't is
yeah.
heated.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, honestly, I'm pretty close with you on all of this. So the looks, I put 4.5. I think it's
Hmm.
beautiful. The only thing that would make it perfection to me is like, and it's older, it's 96, so that probably makes sense why. This is maybe like a little bit more I don't know. I don't know. I love the size. I love the uniqueness in the sense of like the shape. I like the. I really don't necessarily love the rivers. I think that's kind of an odd
Oh, I
thing
think
to
it's
add.
cool. I think it's cool. I
I
think
think
it would
it's
look
odd.
weird if it was just straight gold. I think
Yeah,
you have to put something on there. So
yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just like if there was a little bit more. But then now I'm thinking about it. Like, what else would I want on it? Like, it just says the boot, and then obviously on the
you could do
wood.
like the logos, the school. The only it's just might be a little bit hard. Yeah, to do like a
Yeah,
tiger and a racerback on it.
I don't know. Something about it. Something about it just isn't quite a 5 for me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know
No,
that I
that's
can
okay.
explain it, but it's definitely like
Yeah.
4.5. Like it's
Hey,
it's nearly there.
yeah, just something's holding it back. That's fine. That
Something.
happens.
The history, I'm with you a 4. I love that the guy came up with the idea. I love that again. Like, and I guess this was a good call on us to start at the Big Ten, but like they're just like the gold standard, no pun intended there,
Yeah.
of college football trophies. So I love that the dude was like, okay, we need a trophy. Like this is a great rivalry. I love that the athletic director or the coach at the time wanted something, and I love that they took the initiative, came up with it,
Yeah.
and it worked out. The rivalry itself, I put a 3. I think it's for two schools that don't have in-state rivals, really. I think it's. I don't think they're each other's top rivals, but I would say they're probably the second one, right? Like they're the next tier down for both schools. I would feel
Well,
like.
I don't know that it's number two. I would think that it's a tier down, but I don't think it's number two for LSU, anyways. I think LSU.
So who would you put above there for LSU? Like,
I think LSU looks at Alabama certainly as a bigger rival.
okay,
Then I would think like they probably rank Auburn as a bigger rival as well. The whole Tiger thing that they got going on. There's 3 Tigers, by the way, there in the SEC because we talked about Mizzou
oh yeah,
earlier, so
eh,
there's 3 Tigers.
who cares about that other
Um,
Tiger though, right?
and then I mean, I don't know why A&M's at the end, but like, you know,
I'm sure that was just like a way to drum up like enthusiasm
mhm.
for them joining. But yeah, I mean, I guess so. So if you're looking at Arkansas's other rivalries, they have the Battle Line Trophy, which we talked about earlier, the Southwest Classic, which I think is, I would probably guess that was probably their top rivalry if I had to
Probably,
guess. And
yeah,
then LSU, you have at least trophied. You have the Magnolia Bowl with Ole Miss that we talked about earlier in the
yeah.
season.
I was just saying
Um,
that is a big rivalry between the
yeah,
two.
so I guess okay. So you're looking at like at least. I mean, it's trophy, so it's got to be something, right? So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't. Obviously, I don't think it is at the same level as like an in-state rivalry
yeah.
for either school. So, yeah, so 3 for me there. And then let's see here, competitiveness. Yeah, I had like at a 2. It's really not that competitive, but and mainly because they had the huge hiatus, there isn't a ton of games being played.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, uh, LSU's pretty much doubled up on Arkansas. And then overall, yeah, I have it at a mid tier. It's probably solidly at the middle part of the mid tier, maybe a little bit on the lower end, not because of the trophy, but because of the rest of the stuff. Obviously, the
Yeah.
trophy itself, it looks beautiful.
Hmm.
All right, so why don't we preview this game? So it's the number. I don't even know what they are now. I had it yesterday, but everything changes. Number 10, they're number 7. So the number 7 LSU Tigers, who are 7-2, are traveling to Fayetteville to play the unranked Arkansas at 5-4. The early line, if you were wondering, is LSU -3. So what do you think? What's your prediction here?
LSU -3. I mean, after what they did this past weekend, I think LSU is going to cover. They're hot right now.
Not so fast,
I
my
hope so,
friend.
buddy. I hope
Not
so.
so
I hope
fast.
you're right. I'd love
When
to see
you
Sam
are
Pittman.
looking at this line, so you have LSU 7-2, fresh off of beating Alabama,
Hmm.
traveling. So one, you have the problem of obviously having to get up for that Alabama game. I mean, Brian Kelly's like nearly in tears. That's been talked about a million fucking times, right?
He killed
about it. So for them to have to go to Arkansas, who's had a terrible season, like by their standard, and
well, it started off strong, and then
right, and it tailed off. You had a little bit of injuries to KJ Jefferson, but then you're just thinking, why is it only 3? And that's what makes me, I don't know. Something about Arkansas is definitely talented enough to beat them. And this just seems like the perfect spot. So you have Arkansas getting up for it. It's a trophy game that they clearly care a ton about. You have LSU so high off of the bye or the win. And maybe this is me. I don't know. I have a feeling that Arkansas is going to just outright win this game. I really do. I don't think LSU is good enough, and maybe I'm wrong. And then I've been plenty wrong this year in college football, but this just seems like that perfect spot. You have a rivalry that you're going on the road. It's going to be packed because it's a rivalry. You have Arkansas that hasn't been playing well, but this would be a shining moment to beat a top 10 school. And I don't know. Part of me just thinks that LSU is a little fraudy. I mean, it's one thing to get up for the one game, but I don't know that they're good enough to get up for multiple games, right? So
I hope so, man. I hope you're right. I hate LSU. I hate Brian Kelly. I don't even dislike LSU as much as I dislike like, you know, Coach O led LSU, like whatever, you know, like that was a great team, you know,
Les Miles,
Joe Burrow, Coach O, you know, Jamar Chase, like what do you do against that? Can't do nothing. Yeah, Justin Jefferson, it can't do anything against that team. Just incredible. Good for them. You know, I like touchdown Lenny. But boy, Brian Kelly, man, fuck that guy. I hate him, and I wish him nothing but the worst things in life. And you know, I hope one day he gets prosecuted for killing a kid. Because Brian Kelly did kill a kid. And you know, I can absolutely see when we look at his history at Notre Dame, like they do like to have letdown spots like this. So you could be right. And that line is a little wonky. The -3 it's a little.
Let's do it. This won't be. This will be our Whiskers and Whiskeys pick of the week. Let's do it. It won't be on our official record. It'll just be the two of us, like we did with Texas.
And we're taking Woo Pig. I love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Woo Pig Suey. You heard it here first, guys. We are calling it. And I mean, we're going to take the points. I don't think we're going to need them. I don't.
Oh, I hope not. I hope not.
I don't think. And people are going to already have started. I've already heard it. Well, what happens if LSU wins the SEC West and then wins the SEC championship? Are they going to be the first two?
Not going to happen.
See, but the talks have already happened, and that's what just makes me think this is the trap. This is the trap.
I hope so, man. I hope so. Well,
all right. Yeah. So everyone, you need to watch this game with us. Oh shoot, it's my daughter's birthday party, so we're definitely gonna have it on. It is the game is on at noon on ESPN.
Perfect,
a great little spot there for us.
Perfect.
So that's gonna do it for us this week. Follow us on Instagram at whiskers.whiskies, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you loved this podcast, can you please rate us on Spotify or Apple, whatever one you listen to? If it's Spotify, rate us.
Do it on Apple, both. Do it on both.
Rate us and review. Give us a review. Hit us up. We love it. It does make a difference, believe it or not. So
yes.
Also, don't forget to check out our Saturday morning betting posts. Obviously, we already gave you this one, and you guys can obviously tune in to see our Pick'em challenge and see who ends up winning this, because it is going to be a buzzer beater here.
By the way, the Ravens are up. The Ravens are up 7-0. Isaiah Likely scored the first touchdown. So
did they?
One more, and I'm very happy.
So join us next week for the penultimate episode of this season when we talk about the famous Egg Bowl, another in-state rivalry. For Mike, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much of anything is bad, but too much good whiskey is barely enough.
Cheers.